Hey, it's Julie here, and welcome to another episode of Leading You. Welcome back to part 2. And this one, I want to talk about the go-to authority, the identity shift that most women delay for way too long. And just to touch on something, one of their listeners touched base with me last week and said, "Oh, you sound really nasally, like, have you been sick?" And it's like, yes, I have. I was actually really sick for 2 weeks, hence not being able to record a podcast episode. And I'm still really nasally. So it's really frustrating, but I hope you can bear with me. And I'm sure next time I jump on, I'm going to be crystal clear. And I'm recording in a new studio, so I might sound a little bit different. So I wanted to now talk about the shift that a lot of women know that they need to make, but they keep postponing. And like I said last week, that can be because it's just a very ingrained habit, busyness kicks in, and we revert back to what we know really, really quickly when we feel challenged. Now, it's the shift from being the person that everyone relies on, everyone trusts to get something done, to being the person whose judgment is trusted, whose positioning is trusted for the next. And this is going from being needed to being respected. And it is harder than most people expect, particularly when you've been playing out a role for a very long time. So this really links back to a story of one of my clients, and she was a return to work mum, and she'd been highly successful when she took off on maternity leave. She got incredible results, lots and lots of awards. Her old identity worked for her. Incredible career professional, incredible executive. She went off to have her first baby. She came back to work and realized the context had changed, which is often the case when you've been off on maternity leave, whether that be, a short term or long term. Often the context changes because we experience change so rapidly now. So her identity of being that real high achiever, the awarded, the identity that worked for her before so incredibly well, did not work for her so much now. But she continued along what she knew. I mean, she was coming back to work. She's got a new baby. Priorities had changed. There was so much that she was going through, and she was starting to feel burnt out. And there was that real friction that she was feeling, which was the misalignment. And so nothing changed externally for her until her identity changed internally. And that is what we worked through. So we really had to work through, okay, so where is she wanting to go next? And how does she need to position herself in a way that she can be trusted for that next? How can she position herself intentionally, use her voice in a different way, show what she is capable of in a different way so that she can achieve what is next for her? And once she got really clear on that, she could actually pinpoint where she completely lost her identity. She almost knew the moment when she went, that is absolutely where I lost myself. Because I was this to this point, but I didn't know who I needed to be next. And that's what we work through. And within 3 months, she got her promotion. And that's a really good news story. She had a very, very strong reputation. But that is the power of positioning yourself in a way, having different conversations, showing up as the version of you know you're capable of, but you need other people to see. Really great story. So all of that takes courage. And courage is the tipping point. Courage is the turning point, because courage is letting go of who you've known for so long. It's letting go of old habits that have worked for you for so long. It is changing, letting go of being liked, for being useful, for doing lots of things for other people. It's a letting go of old validation, because all of the validation that you might have got before, when you were the self-editor, when you were the achiever, as an example, that's all external validation. We love that. Of course we do. That's external feedback. And it's letting go of safe roles, of roles that you know. So that takes courage to let all of that go, because you're stepping into an unknown. And what if this doesn't work? And what if that? And what if that? And you can go through all of the circle. But what we really need to do now is to anchor into an identity that is going to work for you. And I have identified the three, I suppose you'd say, the upper identities, the three identities that ensure you are relevant to your marketplace. And relevance is the key word here that we need to be aspiring for. So it's relevant to the context that you want to play in. It's relevant to the changes. It's relevant to your organization. It's relevant to where you're wanting to go. Because if you get stuck in old identities, old ways of doing and being, you risk becoming irrelevant. And that is a incredibly enormous risk for you, because when you become irrelevant, you are dispensable. Point blank. So let me go through the identities. Number one is the author. Now, when we start the author is when we start choosing our own direction. We start naming what matters. It's like we own our own narrative. This is where we start writing our own story. We don't have it written for us. We don't write other people's stories for them. This is where we start getting anchored in who we are and what we stand for. So for me, I shared my corporate experience in the previous episode. What I had to do was get really anchored into who I was and what I stood for as a leader. And for me, that was very much about being courageous. It was about being respectful, and it was about empowerment, because I needed to show that I was capable of empowering others as well as being empowered myself. So that's really what I anchored to. That was my identity. So I was no longer the one who was I still had to do my job, of course, but I positioned myself in a very different way. So I became known as a leader. And same, if you use the example of my client, she started writing her own story for her next. So started having the particular conversations, showing up, putting her hand up for the right things that got her to her next role. Right? So that's the first one, is the author, when you start writing your own story. Number two is the anchor. And this is where you get real emotional steadiness. And this is what I spoke about at length in the masterclass. Because unless you are anchored to who you are and what you stand for after you've written your own story, being visible, being confident is pointless, because you can be self-editing You can go down, you can be a self-editor and be different things to different people while still being visible and while still being confident for that. But that is not going to work for you. That is why confidence and visibility alone do not work for you. When you are anchored into who you are and what you stand for, when you are really clear on that, you know the conversations that you need to have, you are a lot more confident in doing that, and you are allow yourself to be more visible in the right places with the right people, using your voice at the right time. This is all about consistency, about being that person, not self-editing to be different things to different people, not going back to being the achiever, being who you are right now and anchor to that, right? So there is no wobble. This is all about consistency. And being consistent, doing the small things consistently well, gets you the biggest results. Then we get to the authority. And this is where you are are known as the authority. You are trusted for your judgment. There's fewer words, there's no justifications. There's a lot more weight behind your words. There's a lot more weight behind you showing up at various tables. Like, you are now, if you want to use Sheryl Sandberg's old adage of leaning in, you are leaning in. You are taking your seat at the table. You are taking up space and you are getting noticed. You have influence and you have relevance. And that is when you are at the top of your game, getting known for who you are, where you want to go next, and getting chosen. That is the key thing. You're getting chosen. You are getting noticed and you're getting chosen. You're seen for the future. You're not trapped in the past anymore. And what changes when we are playing at the top here within these three identities, we stop overthinking. We stop over explaining ourselves. How many times have you found yourself justifying yourself when you know you don't need to? And you can go into a negotiation with a lot more confidence because you know the value that you bring to the table. You know. And you are anchored to that. So after that, of course, you're making clean decisions. You've got very clear boundaries that you won't cross. And it's what I call anchored confidence. And that is the confidence that shines. You know, when you know someone who enters the room and you're just like, wow, you know, they've got it together. That is you. Same capability, different way of leading, different way of showing up. Key distinction. Now, why do women delay doing this? Because the majority of people that I work with say, why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I do this sooner? Have you heard yourself saying that about, you know, habits that you might have changed, or you've wanted to try new things? You think, why didn't I do that sooner? Now, we can't change the past, but we can change the future. But a lot of the reasons why people delay this, it's, you know, comfort zone. We know what we do. It's easy to show up every day, especially when you've got external pressures, you know, outside of work, which, let's face it, many of us do, whether that's with kids or whether you're a carer to elderly parents or whatever that looks like for you. You know, put it into your own context. We have a lot of pressures outside of work as well. So sometimes it's just easier to just stay within our comfort zone and just do. There's a big fear of rocking the boat, huge fear of rocking the boat, because what if we change? People don't love it when you change. You're going to be questioned. People are going to be going, why are you being different? So, and People can feel really challenged by you changing because they can see, she's now showing up in a way that she is absolutely capable of it. I don't like that. I feel threatened. So that's a reason why a lot of people delay. What we're doing, it's working it's working for you in a particular way. And of course, that feeds a particular purpose for you. And another big reason that people delay this is because they don't have the space to think clearly about it. Huge reason. They don't have time to reflect. Eyes up leadership is how I refer to this, where they've got the eyes up, they're reading the room, they're reading the context, understanding how they need to position this. They don't have space to think because they're constantly doing. And this is why I created the collaboration tool, because many of us can't see our own identity patterns clearly. And the bot that I created, it helps you spot where you're stuck, what it's costing you, and where it's sort of heading if you don't change. So use this while this conversation is fresh in your mind. The link is in the show notes. This is the GPT that I created in ChatGPT. You just need a free account. Just click on it, go through the questions, and use it. So it's really easy. And of course, all of this is the work that we do within Lead Her Mastermind. It's not about confidence. It's not about visibility. It's not about doing more. This is about identity alignment. And I'm really passionate about this because I feel as though this is the gap for so many women who want to go to their next level, whether that be in the same organization, whether that be transitioning into their own business, into a new organization completely, into their next iteration of their career, whatever that looks like. Might be even transitioning into a board role, whatever that looks like for you. I'm really passionate about women being really clear on the identity that they need to be successful in that role, about the identity alignment. We work with your real decisions, your real context, and your real leadership moments. So you stop negotiating with your next chapter and start leading from it. The most powerful leadership moves right now isn't speaking up. It's deciding who you're willing to be seen as next and backing that decision with action. The link to the mastermind, the link to the bot is in the show notes. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you after this episode. Let me know what you think and let me know if you want me to explain anything deeper. And I will speak to you very soon in the next episode.